Hi everybody, welcome back to the pod. This is Ariana Sidway, holistic health practitioner and spiritual guide. And I'm super excited today to be talking about the law of assumption. I know a lot of us get confused between the law of attraction and the law of assumption, and there really isn't that much of a difference between the two. The law of attraction more so, and again, I'll probably make a video on the law of attraction, but the law of attraction really speaks to the fact that you manifest based on your vibration, right? So let's just talk about this very generally to start. When it comes to manifestation, we're all always manifesting. Okay, so when we say consciously manifesting, that's you using your consciousness and you're consciously trying to manifest specific things, right? So when we say manifestation, everybody is always manifesting. Manifestation is just the byproduct of the vibration of who you are being in your reality, right? So people that don't know anything about manifestation, people that don't even know what that word means, right? Like think about people in your life that don't know any of this stuff. They don't follow these things. They don't read about these things. They don't try to manipulate the energy of their environment or of their reality using their consciousness and their mind, right? They are still manifesting. So everyone's always manifesting all the time, okay? Now, when it comes to manifesting things that you actually prefer, that's a different conversation, and that's kind of where these laws come into place, because once you understand these laws, you can then start to apply them and start using them for your benefit and kind of see what happens when you start to apply these laws to your reality. Okay, so the law of assumption is really fun. It's very expansive. It opens your mind. It opens your mind to new possibilities and potential. And it's really fun to use. And I really recommend you guys, when it comes to just manifestation in general, I really suggest that you start manifesting small things, right? So that you can gain the confidence that you're actually doing it, and that will give you the confidence, and you'll even just see the confirmation in your reality, which will give you the internal confidence you need to fuel bigger and better, right? So I don't recommend those of you guys that haven't consciously manifested certain things into your life yet. I wouldn't tell you to start manifesting large sums of money. I would tell you to start manifesting free things, discounts, whatever they may be. Start at the smaller levels, because once you see it working at smaller levels, your mind explodes, and then you start to realize like, oh wait, if I can do it over here with this smaller example, it's the same energy. It'll apply to anything else. But it's really important to gain that confidence first. And I want to share with you guys so much about this. So I'm going to explain the law of assumption. I'm going to explain how you can apply it to your life. And I'm going to share, obviously sprinkled in, as always, some personal life experiences, some personal things that I've done and how I've used it and what I've been able to create for myself as a result of using the law of assumption. So there's a lot of things that happen in your brain, in your body, that happen when you use the law of assumption. So we're going to even get into the fact that it changes your brain because you're choosing to see things differently. So this is really good. Like if you guys struggle with fear or anxiety, this will really help you open up your mind. And in those moments when you're in anxiety or in fear, you can start to reprogram and start to regulate your nervous system so that that doesn't become your story forever. That doesn't continue to keep happening at the same intensities, because you're training your body, your nervous system, you're training your mind to perceive things differently, which will then instill a different feeling within you, right? So the law of assumption is essentially the fact that the universe confirms your beliefs back to you, okay? So this is more so regarding your belief. By believing in the thing that you want and knowing that it already exists in your life, you'll manifest it into existence. That's essentially what the law of assumption says. If you believe that you have it already, then you will manifest it into existence. Now, when it comes to certain things, obviously taking action, when you couple this with taking action, right? Like if you want like a Lamborghini, or you want like, some sort of really nice luxurious car, obviously you can assume all you want that it's yours. You can pretend that you're already living that life. You can visualize when you're driving in your current car that it is the other car. But we kind of all can agree and know at this point that when it comes to certain things that you manifest, yes, you are going to need to take action, right? Like if you currently make 50 grand a year, you can't afford that Lamborghini, right? Like that's obvious. So it's more so about using the law of assumption to work on the energetics, work on your internal world in tandem with taking action, in aligned action towards ways or things, or follow your intuition so that you can be able to afford what you're asking for, right? Or maybe, for example, you want that car and you visualize yourself having it, you assume you already have it, you pretend that it's already in your reality, you're feeling the feelings, you're already in that energy, and then you feel guided to go apply for this raffle, and it's you win a car as a result, right? So like there are things that happen as you practice this, and it can be coupled with your taking action in the area of your life that you want to change, or the area of your life that you desire more of, or whatever it may be here. Okay, so essentially, this is the fact that the universe confirms our beliefs back to us. So if you pretend it's essentially pretending, and what this law requires is for you to detach from your external reality, right? Because if you're going to pretend and you're going to live as if you already have it, no shit, you don't have it yet, right? Like the reality of the situation is you don't have it, but you need to basically put your mind and body into a reality where you do have it. So it's almost like you telling yourself you have it, you feeling and acting like you already have it, even though you don't. This is where a lot of people say be delusional. Now, I truly believe that you can be delusional to a certain degree and wreck your reality, but it's about energetically living in the frequency that matches what you desire, and despite what your external reality is showing you, right? So basically, the law of assumption is the fact that manifestation is an automatic process responding to your beliefs, right? So think about something that's coming up in your life, whether it's the holiday season in general. I know the holidays can be a weird time for some of us because, we obviously know probably people that love the holidays and have great families and big families and so many, like it's all love and amazingness for them. But there's also a large group of us that might have familial issues or feel weird around the holidays, or, have certain things that are kind of playing into that, right? So when we think about it, and using the law of assumption, right? What are you already assuming about that thing that I asked you to think of, something that's coming up, whether it's the holiday seasons, an interview you have next week, you're moving in a couple months, right? So what are you assuming about that process or that event or that interview or whatever it may be, right? What are you assuming? The law states that whatever we assume is what we will experience. So if you're going into a holiday season and you have to, you're going to see your family, you want to see your family, but you know that, there's some tension or there's some conflict or disagreements within family members or between family members, and you're showing up or you're driving to that house or whatever it may be, right? And you're assuming already that it's going to be awkward. You're assuming that it's going to be terrible. You're assuming that it's going to be weird. Then it will be for you because you've already chosen that outcome, right? So using the law of assumption involves acting and feeling as if what you desire, however that experience is for you, has already been fulfilled. It's already happened. It's already what you're going to experience. So using the law of assumption in that example would be, instead of saying, oh, this is going to be awkward, this is going to be tense, this is going to be so weird, it's switching that belief system. It's switching the perspective you're seeing the situation from, and choosing to, while you're driving there, hey, I intend that this is healing for all of us. I assume that this is going to go way better than I ever thought it could, right? That is you opening up the amount of possibilities that are available to you. When we choose one outcome, most likely a lot of us choose the outcome that the thing doesn't work out, that we don't get the job, that we're going to be in lack, that we're not going to be able to pay our bills. You're choosing that one outcome out of all the outcomes that could happen. But if you're assuming this is how it's going to be, right, and you're asserting that, and that's the only situation that you think could come out of that situation or that outcome, that could come out of that situation, you're essentially choosing that. That's what you will experience because you're not even open. You haven't played around with the other ways that event or that conversation could go, right? And so when you go into it with an assumption that is expansive, that is abundant, that is freeing, that is healing, that is what you'll experience, okay? So I have a couple examples, and we're going to talk a lot more about this as well, but I'm just picking up. I actually didn't even write it down. Like, I have a whole list of notes I want to talk about today regarding the law of assumption, and I didn't even type this one down, but I really think that this is really cool, and it goes along with exactly what I was just saying, which is the fact that I have a person in my life that has been an on and off relationship. This person in my life has been healing, as have I, but it's giving the energy of like, you can't heal yourself from the trauma from someone else if you're still around that person. It's really, really hard to heal from a relationship when you're still in that relationship, when you're still around that person. So this person and I kind of butt heads a lot. There was a lack of accountability, lack of apologizing, lack of understanding from their point of view of like, it's given like, I'm traumatized and I'm hurt and I'm trying to heal from all the experiences I've had with this person and trying to like redefine myself and figure out my own identity that isn't with this person around, like figuring out who I really am as an individual, because I kind of like grew up and was programmed a lot by this person. And so the relationship and the person I'm talking about was like no contact, honestly, for about a year and a half straight. No contact, no talking, no getting together, no communication. And this, I called the no contact because I needed to heal, and I knew that I wasn't getting anywhere with my healing process from this person and from my memories in my past with this person if they kept, because they weren't healing. So it was almost like I'm trying to heal all the things within me that came from you essentially, but you're not changing and you're not healing, so there's no point. It's almost like you're trying to drain the sink while you keep putting crap in the sink and it's just not working. So I needed time and space so that I could kind of heal myself, and I knew that I would be reapproaching this person and reaching back out, and I did want to talk eventually, but I knew that if I talked to them and we had a conversation back then before we went no contact, I knew I wasn't strong enough. I knew that I would fawn to this person. I knew that I would submit. I knew that I wouldn't share and be honest because I was fearful of this person. And so I was like, I want to talk, but I need to process things on my own. I need to heal my trauma. I need to really come back into wholeness within myself so that when we talk, I have exactly what I want to say. I'm going to express myself, even though it might be scary for me to. Like, I really needed this conversation to come from, like, I wanted to enter this conversation from, like, with love for this person and for myself. And I knew that who I was before we went no contact, I just knew I wasn't strong enough to do that, and it wouldn't be productive. So what happened is we went no contact for almost a year and a half, and we ended up kind of reaching out. I forget who reached out, probably me. And we ended up having a conversation. So this person came over to my house and we sat in my living room, and, this person actually, but the whole point, this is why I wanted to share this. I knew that this person was going to be coming over to my house. Again, based off the story, I haven't seen or talked to this person in a year and a half. Over that year and a half, I healed a lot of my darkness. I healed a lot of my trauma that I experienced with this person and from this person. So all of that time passed, and it was almost like I felt like I was such a different person. Like, when I knew they were coming over, my first thought was like, they don't even know who I am, because I changed so much. I healed so much. I now operate differently. Like, this person was used to me in a powerless position that would fawn, that would agree, that would allow my emotions to kind of take over the conversation, that would feel bad for this person more so than honor myself, right? So I knew that when this person was coming over, it was almost like weird, because I'm like, I feel like I don't know you and you don't know me anymore. Like, I'm not the old version of myself that I was a year and a half ago. So when I knew they were coming over and we were going to talk, like the whole intention was to talk and to kind of reconnect and to be honest with each other. And I had no idea what we were going to talk about. I had no idea what this person was going to say. Again, I haven't seen or talked to them in a year and a half. I don't know if they were healing or if they were just mad and waiting around for me. Like, I have no idea the energy of this person and what they were like or what they were in and how they would come. So what I did was I used the law of assumption. And before they showed up, I set the intention. I set the intention that this conversation be healing for the both of us, right? Like, I didn't even set the intention that they apologize. I didn't set the intention that they're healing. Like, I didn't do anything besides say, you know what? I have a little bit of fear in my body because we're about to have this conversation that's going to be uncomfortable, but it's going to challenge me. You know, I've done so much healing over the past year and a half and work on myself that this is a great opportunity for me to practice communicating and being honest and not like sugarcoating or watering down what I want to say. Like, this is a situation that's presenting itself that allows me to step into my power and to hold this person with love as well. So that's what I did. I assumed that the conversation would be healing for both of us. I assumed that the conversation would be productive. I assumed that the conversation would provide me with an opportunity to practice who I've been becoming the past year and a half. And what surprised me was that this person came over and they're healing and they were really self-aware. Like, they were able to list off, which they couldn't do a year and a half ago, list off all of these things that they realized, and they apologized, and their apology was very intentional. They weren't just like, yeah, I'm sorry about that. Like, they explained what they were sorry for. I wasn't expecting that. And also throughout the conversation, I felt less fear and more comfortable. I was more comfortable at being vulnerable. I was more comfortable expressing myself. I was very steady, like my energy was steady. But I was also like able to use my discernment. Like, I was also listening to what they were saying and using my spiritual connection to be like, okay, like sensing energy. Like, when they said that, you know, like, did I really feel like that was truthful and honest of them? You know, all of these things. And the conversation was very healing. And I learned a lot about myself during that conversation. And we're still working on a relationship. We're still kind of building from the ground up. But that was like really one of the first times that I used the law of assumption. And I didn't sit down and say, I'm going to use the law of assumption. I just said, like, this is my intention. This is what I intend for this conversation and how it go. And everything else is not up to me. I'm not in control. I'm only in control of how I present myself, the energy I choose to be in, the things that I choose to say with my mouth, right? So that's the first time that I was like, wow, setting intentions actually works. And then I started doing it more and more. So using the law of assumption is basically choosing an outcome and acting and believing as if it's already been fulfilled. So this is different than hoping and wishing, right? So hoping and wishing still, in my opinion, comes from a disempowered state of being where you don't fully trust yourself, you don't fully trust the universe, God, source, spirit, and you're hoping and wishing, right? It's kind of like, maybe this could happen. I hope that it does, but I don't know. I don't have the faith. I don't trust that it could. I just hope it does, right? So using the law of assumption is the belief, the knowing that it could, the knowing that it is fully possible for you, and the fact that knowing that you are that powerful, that you can choose certain outcomes and experience those outcomes. For that conversation, I wasn't sitting there thinking to myself, oh, I hope that this works out. I hope that this conversation's healing. I was like, I intend that it is healing. I intend that it is healing, right? So there's a level of conviction that comes with using the law of assumption. So I feel like if you don't fully believe in yourself, you don't fully believe and understand the power of energy, the power of the universe, then you're gonna, like, you can still use this, but it will help you work on that. The more you use it, the more you see it working, the more you're gonna be like, wow, I really am that powerful. I'm seeing the changes. I'm seeing how my belief is growing stronger and stronger, that I have less doubt, and I now function more so from this belief that it could happen, right? So it's all about what you believe. So you have to actually believe what you're assuming. So it definitely takes practice. And like I said in the beginning of this episode, I really recommend that you do it with smaller things. So this could mean that you go up to your drive-thru to get your coffee in the morning and you just assume that it's cheaper, or you assume that there's a deal, right? Or you're opening an app, or you want to order something on Amazon, and before you see it, before you click on your Amazon app, you're thinking, oh, this will be on sale today. But you work from the energy of, I know it could, I believe that it could, influencing the energy. You're creating your reality based on what you perceive to be true, and then acting like it, right? So definitely try with small things in the beginning and then work yourself up to bigger things. And this also helps rewire your brain towards abundance, possibility, and unlimited potential that you really do have, right? Because when you start using this law of assumption, you start to become now aware of all the assumptions that you're currently placing on your reality. It changes the filter in your brain. This is called the reticular activating system, and it is essentially a bundle of nerves that sits in your brainstem. And the reticular activating system is essentially the filter of your brain. So think about all the information that's around you all the time. There's all this information that your brain has to process, right? So think about you driving on a road. There's so much going on around you, but how come you're not aware of every single little thing? It's because of the reticular activating system. So this bundle of nerves basically tries to let go of any information that it knows isn't important to you. And it only shows you the information that's around you in your environment that is important to you, that we've seen before. When you guys, the new car comes out, right? Or you want a specific car. So you test drive that car, or you look it up on the internet. Now that car is important to you, every time you go out on the road, it's almost like you see that car everywhere. And you probably have had the thought of like, did all of these people buy these cars overnight? Like, how come I've never seen this many of this model in one errand? Like, I don't understand how I never saw this car before, but now that I looked it up last night, I'm seeing it everywhere I turn. And it's because now your brain knows what you're looking for. It's seen it recently, and so it's going to show you it in your reality. Whereas when you're not thinking about buying a new car, there's cars out there that you don't like, that you think are ugly. You want nothing to do with them. You're not going to buy them. Your brain, you probably pass them all day long, but your brain, there's no importance to show it to you. There's no importance for it. So you're not seeing it, right? So this is how using the law of assumption works, because it will change that reticular activating system. So that filter can be changed based on what you want to see more of. So the more that you start to introduce new outcomes, right? Say, oh, I always would have thought that, every time I have an interview, I always assume that I'm not going to get the job. I always assume it's going to be awkward. I always assume that I'm going to be weird and that I'm not going to say everything I want to say. I'm not going to be my normal self. But when you start to use a law of assumption, you start to open your mind up to all the other possibilities of how things could go, right? So you're like, now when you step into the next interview and you know about the law of assumption, you can be like in your car before you go up into the building, sit there and I assume that this is going to be really fun. I assume that this is going to showcase my talent and my abilities. I assume that my language and the way that I speak is going to be so intellectual or received very well, right? Like whatever it may be, I assume that my voice is going to be smooth and everything I'm going to say is going to come naturally right to me, right? So when you start to play around with this, what you're doing is you're placing your energy in your consciousness in all these other realities that could occur, all these other ways that the interview could go, instead of just the one outcome that you're so used to assuming, which is that it's going to suck in some way or you're not going to do well. The more that you practice this, the more you realize, wait, it could actually go way better than I thought. I could actually kill it. I could actually get the job. I could actually not even need to do a second interview because that's how awesome I am. You really start to open your mind up, which then changes the reticular activating system. So the filter, the bundle of neurons or the nerves in your brain can actually change, right? So now you're looking for new things. So this is an eye-opening thing that using this example will help you Even work on reframing your relationship with your anxiety and your fear, because anytime that you are in fear, you're assuming that things like something's bad's going to happen. You're worried about what people are going to say when you go live, or whatever it may be for you specifically. You have to make a really difficult phone call that could be uncomfortable. You're going to confront somebody in your life, and talk about something, and it's going to be uncomfortable, whatever. But that, again, you're assuming it's going to be uncomfortable. What if you assume that it's actually, the person's actually gonna be like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for saying that. Like, I've been wondering that myself. I'm so grateful that you actually brought this up, right? Like, how do you know? Right? And I think we limit ourselves so much because we're assuming like a lot of these restrictive, limiting situations and possibilities that things don't work out for us, instead of fueling and tapping into and playing in our imaginations all the ways that things could work out for us. And when you know your power, and when you know the power of the energy in the universe, assuming things like it's such a convicted energy. You're choosing that outcome. You are assuming with your belief, right? I believe that this interview would work out for me. Then it will. Why wouldn't it? Unless you're assuming that it wouldn't, right? The more you show your brain other possibilities, the more your brain starts to see more of those possibilities. So the more that you open your mind and you start to introduce new situations, new ways that things could go for you, new surprises that could happen at any time. When your energy is open like this, and you're open to anything happening at any time, and you just know that you're protected and that everything is actually working out for you, then little blessings can come into your life all the time because your energy is open to them, right? Because you're constantly thanking and being grateful for all the things that you do have, and you're aware that things could happen out of the blue for you. So honestly, this is how I healed. This is one of the ways, not just this and that's it, but this is one of the ways that I healed my anxiety, because anytime that I've found myself in anxiety, I realized that it was me trying to predict something in the future that I couldn't control, right? So I'm just in anxiety now because I'm assuming that that situation won't work out, that situation's going to harm me, that situation's going to make me lose something or someone or whatever it may be, right? When you realize that you're anxious, it's because you just don't know what's going to come from a certain situation in your life, or what's going to happen in a couple of days as a result of something. And when you start to realize that you're feeling anxious over that, it's just the fact that your energy is assuming the worst, when you could start introducing all the other ways that something could work out. And when you start to do that, you realize that your nervous system starts to relax and your anxiety goes away, because you're starting to show your mind and body, hey, you're just assuming that this is going to happen this way. It's not even real yet. It hasn't even happened yet. So why don't we take this time now to alleviate our anxiety by playing in all the possibilities, imagining, visualizing it actually going well. How would that feel, right? That immediately puts you into expansive energy from an energy that you were contracted in, that was suffocating you, which is anxiety, right? You can feel the difference when you're sitting in anxiety. You feel heavy. You feel like you can't breathe. You feel contracted, like someone's squeezing you. Again, when it comes to this, you have to be the one to be self-aware enough to recognize, hey, I'm feeling anxious right now, and then continue to visualize all the other ways and show your mind and show your body that that is not true, by choosing to play in all the situations and visualize and start feeling the energy of what it would feel like, right? Acting now, the law of assumption, act now as if it's already happened. Act now as if you already have it. What would that version of you do, right? Because think about it. If you're sitting in anxiety, you're already assuming that it didn't work out. So even though you can't control it, and even though it hasn't happened yet, and it's in the future, right? So it's not even real, but you're choosing to allow yourself in the present moment to remain in a low vibrational energy, even though whatever it is you're worried about hasn't happened yet, right? So what happens is we manifest from the present moment. We don't manifest we don't manifest from yesterday. We don't manifest from tomorrow. We manifest from right now. What energy are you in right now? What energy are you in today? Now, what happens is a lot of us hold fear and anxiety and all these emotions because of how things worked out for us in the past. So we learn from our past experiences, oh, every time someone loves me, they leave me, right? So that's what you've learned from those experiences. So now you meet someone you really like, all of a sudden you're anxious because you're assuming that that is going to happen with this person as well. Based on the past, this is how this is how it worked. So it's going to work the exact same way here. That's not true. But if you don't recognize that, what happens is in the present moment, which we manifest from, you're in anxiety. So you're going to manifest more anxiety because that's the energy and you're in the present moment. Instead of realizing, hey, I'm assuming that this person's going to leave me because that's what happened with everyone else before in my life. But that doesn't define me. That doesn't mean something about me. That doesn't mean that this person's going to leave me. What if this person is actually going to be the one that doesn't and stays and loves me for who I am, right? Like if we assume that everything's going to happen just like it did in the past, what we're doing is subconsciously manifesting the same situations to occur. This is how we start manifesting cycles and the same lessons and patterns to continue because we're not realizing that we are functioning from a belief from the past that we absorbed. It is real that maybe those people did abandon you or they loved you and then they left you. That's real. That's what actually happened in your life. But what you're choosing to take away from those experiences is the belief that no one's going to love me and that every single person that loves me will leave me. That's not true, right? So it's really important to learn what meaning are you taking away from situations. What happened is true, but the meaning you choose to take away from it and then apply to the future might not be serving us. Here's how you're going to start using the law of assumption in small ways. This is something that I did, which was really fun. So something about me is that I live with my boyfriend and my boyfriend has Amazon Prime. I do not have Amazon Prime. So anytime that we rent a movie, I charge his card or if my luck is high, it's free. So I don't know if you guys have Amazon Prime, but like when you go to Prime Video and you go to rent a movie, it depends on the movie. Like some movies are like $20, some movies are free, some movies are $5, whatever. So one night I really wanted to watch this movie and I knew that like, not that my boyfriend cares, but like it would just be nice if it was free, right? So I could just click it and buy it technically for free and I wouldn't have to be like, hey, like, do you mind if whatever. So what happened was I used the law of assumption I literally swear I just saw like a shadow behind me, but I think it must have been me. So anyway, I really want to watch this movie this one night and I knew that it was on Amazon Prime. And I know that majority of the time when we go to rent movies on Amazon Prime, it costs something, right? So it wasn't like the money, it was just the fact that it'd be nice if it was free, right? So I use the law of assumption and as I'm clicking, like I have the remote in my hand and as I'm clicking on Prime Video, the app, I'm thinking it's going to be free. But like, I'm not thinking like, oh, I hope it's going to be free. I'm literally thinking it will be free. I was so convicted in that moment. I really believed that could happen. Like I imagined it even in that 3 to 5 second period of like it being $0.00, right? So, but I was so sure of it. And when I clicked on the movie, it was free. And I was like, ooh, let's go. So like that made me feel like, wait a second, I'm on to something here. You know what I mean? So in a more like bigger example, this is really cool. So start using with small things, right? So anytime you assume anything, anytime you're going to Target because you really want to get a new, what are they called? I was going to say like a shelving unit, right? Like I don't care what you're buying, but you go to Target for something specific. And when you know how much it's going to be, you don't know if that specific Target's going to have it. You don't know if that specific Target's going to have it on sale, right? Like you never know what could happen. So when you start using this and applying it to literally any and all situations, and assuming that it works out for you in some way, whether it's a sale, whether it's free, whether you get a discount, whether it's in stock or not, right? Like you can start to manifest these things because of your belief that it is true, for your belief that it's already happened, for your belief that that is how it is, right? Now, in the time between you assuming it and you finding out, right? So let's say you're driving to Target, so you're assuming it, but you don't know yet because you're not physically there to find out. You need to act. This is the work. You need to act as if it is what you desire, right? So it's not you saying, oh, I assume that my interview in 3 days is going to go well and that I'm going to speak very nicely, and everything's going to come naturally to me, and it's going to feel natural, and I'm going to showcase my confidence, or, you know, whatever it may be. You're assuming something positive about your interview in a couple days. Now, it's not that you sit there and assume that and then continue to be anxious for the next 3 days. You need to act and feel and think as if that is true, right? So now when you're driving to Target, for the other example, act as if it's free. Act as if, you know what I mean? It's the energy that you're in is what chooses that outcome. Not just the fact that you're telling me, yeah, Ariana said to assume, so I assume it. But if your energy isn't, you can't fake your frequency. So you can tell me, yeah, Coach Ariana, I assumed it, but it didn't happen. Did you 100% believe it? Did you act and feel the feelings as if it's already occurred? Right? That's the key. In the time in between you assume it and you find out, or you assume it and you experience it, you have to act as if your assumption has already happened, that you've already maintained it, that you feel the feelings as if it's already worked out, feel the feelings as if you've already gotten that job. Okay? So back to this is like a big example because this was really cool. So my stepmother just turned 50 and she has a lot of friends, okay? I can't even keep track of them all. Obviously, I know my stepmom and when her birthday is. I knew she was turning 50. I got added into a group chat. And it was like, oh, a week from now, we're all going to get an Airbnb and go out to dinner and spend the night with each other. And it's going to be like this 50th for my stepmother. And it was going to be to celebrate her. And all of her friends were going to come into town. And there was this Airbnb that they got for a couple nights downtown in the city. We were going to go out to this really expensive restaurant for dinner, right? So when I got the text, though, it was only like a week or two before. So it was obvious that like all these older women planned it, all of her friends planned it, and then we're like, oh, let's invite her stepdaughter. So I got kind of invited last minute. Now, like my first thought when I was invited last minute was like, I don't know if I can make this work in such short notice, right? So I was like, I don't know if I want to go and put myself into the situation where now I'm like shelling out hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars for the Airbnb and for the food and for the drinks and for, you know, the going out or whatever it may be. But I used the law of assumption. So I had no idea, like I kind of knew the itinerary, but I didn't know, like they didn't give exact prices or anything, right? So what happened was I was like, you know what? No, I want to experience this. I want to be there. I don't want to like ever look back when, you know, she's way older and think, oh, I really wish that I spent that time with them, or I really wish that I met her friends, or I really wish that I was there for that. So I really wanted to go. And I knew that by following your highest excitement, everything does work out for you, right? So like I sat there and I said to myself, and I was talking out loud to the universe, to God, and I was like, you know what? I want to experience this, and that's the only confirmation I need. Just the fact that I genuinely want to be there. Everything else I know and I trust will work out. And so I just had this, like, I didn't assume anything specific. I just assumed that everything, the financial aspect of this trip would work out, right? So I immediately confirmed, I RSVP'd, I said I was coming. But I didn't choose until, like, as the week went by leading up, I didn't choose to continue to worry about it. The trick is to, once you assume it, continue to live in that energy, continue to act like everything did work out, right? Continue to be excited about whatever it is that's coming up, whatever it is you're working with here, whatever it is you desire to experience. So I RSVP'd, and ever since I RSVP'd, I was like, I didn't worry once. I did not have it on my mind. I just assumed. I assumed everything would work out one way or another. And I was excited to go. And like, that's literally it. So fast forward, the weekend comes, I go, I show up. We had so much fun. They took care of everything. They decorated the whole house. They rented the Airbnb. They had a room for me. They had all these foods, like literally any snack you could possibly think of was out, like hors d'oeuvres, drinks, champagne, all this stuff. And I showed up and I stayed the night, and we had so much fun. And we, at dinner, someone put the whole dinner on their card, and then we were all going to Venmo. So they sent a text to the whole group chat of like, hey, here's how much it is for everybody for the Airbnb and dinner. And so I wake up in the morning, I see the text, and I'm thinking to myself like, okay, whatever. I'm still at the Airbnb. I got to drive home. I got to get everyone out of here and kind of clean up and everything. So, just all the food, decorations, like everyone parked in parking garages. There was just a lot to get done that morning. So I saw the text and I was like, still in the energy of everything will work out, and I helped everyone clean up, and there were a couple hours went by. We all got dressed for the day, whatever. I said goodbye to everyone. Everyone went home. And right as I'm hugging the last person, I kid you not, and she said, also, I was talking to all the other girls last night. We really wanted to treat you and your stepmother to this because obviously we know that you're younger. We're all established with our families, and, not that it was like crazy expensive, but she was like, we just know, we get it. We get it that you're young. And basically the whole weekend was free. My dinner was free. All my drinks were free. Me staying at the Airbnb was free. Like, they didn't want me to give them any money for anything that they did for my stepmother. And that was so freaking sweet. But in that moment, I was driving home and I'm like, I had the best freaking night. I knew this would happen. I knew that something would happen, and even if, right, like, let's play around with this idea, with this story. Even if that person didn't say anything to me and I left and everyone left and I was required to pay my part, I would 100% do that because I'm not trying to take advantage of anybody. But I could use now the law of assumption to assume that I'm going to get that money in the mail, or I'm going to attract that amount of money to be able to pay them, right? So it's not that I didn't have the money. It was just the fact that I didn't know if I didn't know how much of a commitment this would be financially because of how many people there were and all the activities we were going to be doing in the specific restaurant they wanted to go to that night. My point here is that if you use the law of assumption for something and it actually doesn't work out, or something doesn't follow through or whatever, like, let's say I was stuck with that bill and I had to, like, they expected me to pay my part. No biggie, totally understand. But I would then use a law of assumption or use something else to try to figure out a way to attract that money and to assume that the universe still is working on behalf of me in my favor, right? So maybe it wasn't the fact that it was going to be free, but it was going to be the fact that the next week I would attract that money and then just be able to send it right to them, right? So if you can kind of live in this energy that everything is always working out for you, you're able to adapt and flow with your life circumstances and be able to recognize the ways that you can start to influence or manipulate the energy to work for you. But the only way that the energy would work for you is if you choose to embody that same energy, right? So it's so important. I know I've said it like 2 times already, but it's so important that if you find yourself assuming or using the law of assumption in some way in your life. I'm just realizing I'm talking so much with my hands. I'm Italian, okay? So I'm going to use that excuse. That's just a side note. But if you're realizing that certain things you're assuming them, or you're using the law of assumption, but then you recognize that you're still in fear, you're still anxious, that's just telling you and showing you an area of growth that you can still improve upon, which is the fact that you don't fully trust the universe. But the only way you're going to build that trust with the universe is if you learn to trust yourself and you start to keep working at these things and practicing them. And once you start to see them working out in certain ways for you, whether they're small or big, you start to gain the confidence because you're literally seeing in your life that it's working. You're getting the confirmation. Things are starting to work out for you. Things are getting easier for you. You're able to assume things. You're getting free discounts or things for free here and there and everywhere. Same thing again, like I'm using the law of assumption right now. So I actually have a lot of weddings next year in 2025. My best friend from college is getting married. My boyfriend's one of his best friends from college is getting married, and there's a lot of travel already. I can already kind of see how next year is going to go. There's going to be a lot of traveling, which I'm excited for. But that means that now we're starting to kind of mentally prepare for the fact that we're going to be traveling, that we're going to be going to weddings. You normally go to these, it comes with bridal showers and bachelorette trips, right? So all of these things are starting to happen and starting to get planned for 2025. So my best friend's getting married, and she was like, yeah, for my bachelorette, I want to go to Miami and I want to rent like a massive house in Miami. And I'm just telling her, I'm just assuming that everything will work itself out and that everything is going to be fun and I'm going to go because I want to go, right? So it's more so about learning and being able to tap into, what do I genuinely want to experience? You want to experience certain things for a reason. And when we start to tell ourselves we can't because of certain things, we're starting to become victims to our circumstances and not realizing how powerful we are and how powerful energy can be. So I already RSVP'd to this bachelorette. I don't know when we're gonna go, but I'm just assuming that I'm going to have the money when I need it. Like, that's it, end of story. And I really trust, because I've done so much work. I've built this relationship with the universe, with God, with source. So, and I've also seen how powerful I am, my energy is, and my mind is. So I just know that everything is going to work out exactly as it should and exactly as it's meant to for me. And I'm excited, and I'm just excited. I'm looking forward to all these things. And the universe knows that I want to experience this, so I will. And everything else will align itself as it should. So I've been talking a lot about, especially I made like 9 or 10 TikToks today. I pulled over because something was just coming through me, and I ended up making a lot of content in just like 10 minutes. And the main theme of all of those videos was the fact that you move first and the universe responds to you. So maybe you're not physically taking action towards something, but in this conversation we're having today regarding the law of assumption, it's you move first, the universe responds to you. So I'm moving first. I'm saying, yes, I'm going. I'm telling the universe, hey, look at me, I'm moving first. I'm committing, I'm RSVPing, I'm going to experience this. And I trust and I know with conviction that everything will work out for me. Start practicing this. Start using the law of assumption in your life with small things, and then work your way up to big things. It kind of requires you to live mentally and emotionally, energetically, spiritually in an energy, despite the fact that your external reality is showing you otherwise. Because if you want to change your external reality in your material world, you have to move first. You have to choose to evolve out of that state of lack, out of that state of instability or insecurity or powerlessness, and choose to step into your power, choose to be more confident, choose to put yourself out there. Then everything comes, because it's responding to your energy. It's uncomfortable because you're living energetically. Like, it's like being happy for no reason, right? It's like, well, you don't have a reason to be happy, so why are you? It doesn't matter. I'm choosing to be happy now because I know that when I am happy, more happiness will find me. But if I'm never happy and I never assume that I'll ever be happy again, how do I ever experience that new frequency or that reality where happiness exists if I'm choosing to admit and assume and choose this outcome that I won't be happy, right? Like, everything comes through you. So you are where you are right now. Your reality is the way it is right now. It's really, really important to accept that, right? I'm not over here trying to bypass things and bypass our actual wounds and the healing work that needs to be done. But we can also use these laws to practice, to get to know ourselves, to grow our self-awareness, to play, right, with the universe. Believe in your power that you can manifest bigger and better things. And apply this to your health, apply this to your life, right? If you feel like you're gonna get sick, like I do this all the time with everything. If you're starting to feel a little bit like you might get sick, use the law of assumption that you're healthy. Use the law of assumption. When I wake up tomorrow morning, I'm gonna feel so freaking good. It's not even funny. It's not even funny. When I wake up tomorrow morning, my throat's gonna feel so like smooth. You know, I'm gonna feel like my lungs can breathe. My congestion, my nose is gonna be so clear, right? Assume these things and watch how powerful your energy is. Because again, when it comes to your physical body, your body follows suit. Whatever you're commanding your body of, it will respond to you. So if you're constantly walking around saying, I don't feel good, I don't feel good, I don't feel good, I'm gonna get sick, I'm gonna get sick, I'm gonna get sick, then you will. Then you won't feel good, then you will get sick. So a lot of people don't want to admit this, but your consciousness, your mind is so powerful. You create your reality based on what you believe to be true. So I really hope that my personal life experiences have made you feel excited and motivated to start using this for yourself. But again, like, this is a practice. This is like the work that I talk about, healing yourself, expanding your reality as a result of that. You are the main character. Like, you are where everything gets created from. right? So it's more so about recognizing that you are the source of power in your reality. So the more that you know yourself, the more that you're aware of what's going on within you, the more you're aware of what beliefs you hold, whatever it may be, the easier it is then to navigate, right? And to create what you want to create. Because if you're not being honest with yourself, you can't be honest with someone like me, and then I can't help you. Or if you're not working with anybody, you can't be honest, and you can't be honest with yourself, you're ultimately going to continue to live the same cycles, patterns, and lessons until you see it for what it is. Please let me know what you guys think of this episode. If you start using the law of assumption in your life, please come back to this podcast episode and comment and let me know what you did and what worked out for you. I'm so excited. This law of assumption, it's fun. Like, I love using this. I love talking about it. This is like a fun, expansive thing to use in your reality, and you're gonna learn so much more about yourself. It's gonna help you integrate and start to actually realize and learn and trust this relationship that you have, right? Because like, you are the universe. The universe is you are the universe. That's why my whole, like, all of my social handles are universal health, YOU, universal. You are the universe. You are the universe experiencing itself. So you're not separated from the power of source. You're not separated from the power of Jesus Christ. It's not outside you. It's already you. We all have the same power, but it's learning to activate it and believing in it is when you actually see it in your reality. It's not that seeing is believing. It's actually, you have to believe it first to then see it. If you never think that you're going to be a millionaire, then you won't be. You'll never see that. You have to believe that you will be, then take the action, and then you will see that, right? But nothing's going to happen. You're not going to obtain the desires that you want in your life if you already assume that you won't have them. You're already limiting yourself in those ways. So again, I really hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. Comment below what you guys end up using this for and what happens as a result of it. I'm so excited. Stay tuned. Every week I release a new episode on Spotify. The audio is on Spotify if you guys just want to listen, or if you guys want to watch, go on YouTube, and I post the podcast episodes, the video versions on YouTube. So if you guys have any questions, please post them below as well. I'll also have like my Instagram and TikTok handles below as well. And as I said last week, I do have a masterclass coming out at the end of November this month, 2024, and I cannot wait. This is going to be probably one of the best creations I've ever made so far, besides the book. And I actually received some really good news regarding the book today as well. I don't know, like, if you're not an author, you probably don't know how it works, but when you publish a book, you don't really get to know how many you've sold or anything like that. Like, our publisher tells us quarterly how much we've sold, how much we've made off the book, and we really don't make that much off the book anyway. But I got an email today, so unexpected, again, living in receiving mode, expecting the best case scenarios, expecting surprises and blessings to happen. I actually opened my email today, and we have our invoice for our first quarter of the year of having our book sold. But if you guys are interested in purchasing the book, if you guys actually purchase it on TikTok Shop, it's way cheaper right now than it is if you went to my Amazon link in my link below in the description. So if you go to my services where all my readings are posted, and then you'll see the Amazon links to the book. I think on TikTok Shop, Patrick is selling them for like $14, and on Amazon it's like $25. So if you guys really want to purchase the book, go to TikTok. You can just go to TikTok Shop and type in The Integrated Self, and you'll be able to see the book there, and you'll see my name, Ariana Sidway, and Patrick, his name's on the cover as well. Yeah, I will be back next week. Place your comments, questions below, rate this podcast on Spotify, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I will see you guys next week.